Welcome everyone to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we talk about TV shows here. The year is 2021, and the name of the show is Babylon 5. This is Season 3, Episode 2. It is called Convictions. So full spoilers for the episode, as always. And this episode largely features a plot revolving around a bomber who's on the station just blowing up random spots. Brown 7 gets it at one point. I definitely heard that one. But
Explosion in Brown 7?
It does sound like someone's had an accident, doesn't it?
That's definitely code at Walmart or something.
So someone get the sponge. There's been an explosion in Brown 7. But that is the main plot, but there's some other things going on, of course, some character tidbits throughout between some of the characters, and just a general idea that's interesting early on. I'll get this out of the way first. The idea that various aliens from around the galaxy have heard that their deity has appeared on Babylon 5 because of the Kosh incident from the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So these two aliens at the start are trying, we get a scene with Zach where he's just kind of like annoyed that they're just showing up and wanting to stay, and there's like no protocol for it, and then they start poking at him because like you're here, everything here is blessed, including you, we are touching you for your blessing. He's like, see that plant, it's also been, it was actually closer than I was, so it's very blessed. Go poke at the plant.
Yeah, I like that the first is, I think they're called Drazi. The first one was like poking him as he was talking, and the other one was just like, he was really into it.
Yeah,
really into the petting of Zach.
So much so that I thought the monk dudes who showed up almost right after were going to be like just the same thing, but for Earth. But it turned out they've actually got a more particular purpose, which was they're here. They want to spend time and reside on Babylon 5 because they want to effectively be able to essentially find God in the eyes of all the other species and basically dissect the idea that it's the same God who's just taken many forms, and it's a way of cataloguing all the forms that God has taken.
Right. And it kind of helps me a lot, because I think we talked not that long ago about how I don't understand like religion and aliens existing in the same universe, and then they follow up with this episode where they're like, well, we're acknowledging it.
I mean, I basically said what I assumed, which was that they always just move the goalposts, and this feels like the goalposts have moved, so
yeah, that's true.
That's just kind of fits with that, I guess. But yeah, like, it's fine. That's to say that I dislike these characters or the use they have. Like, they're not a big part of the episode, other than their introduction. They serve one little plot point later on.
Mm-hmm.
I think their introduction here is more about them being important in some way later, or at least being a minor thing that can keep showing up later. So
yeah, they're getting residency on board the station.
Yeah. They help out later just by being a team of eyes that can like comb through footage, but the idea being that they're good at monotonous work and they're willing to be patient because their work is going to take them decades. So if one of pegs them for a job later on. But other than that, we're almost entirely in the main plot. Although there is some like character branching off to do with it, but there's an explosion early on, which made me laugh, I'll be honest, because it was effectively a trap, like the homeless person.
It's like a mouse trap.
Yeah, it's like a cage door slammed shut, and I thought, oh, someone's trapped the homeless guy, but then there's immediately an explosion. I was like, what was the point of the trap? You didn't need to trap him. Especially none of the other explosions seem to have traps related to them later on in the episode, so
no,
it was
he was just throwing them off. I have all different types of bombs planted.
Except he didn't know.
The trap bomb is not the only one.
But that was the thing, though. They pointed out that every single explosive was the same. It was the exact same type of explosive. So, Shang Tsung, who I recognise. It took me an extra second to be sure it was Shang Tsung, because he wasn't chewing the scenery like I'm used to him doing in Mortal Kombat.
He was kind of dull in this, actually.
He's just like, he's a normal. He's like basically the explosive forensics expert on the security team. But it was Shang Tsung, so we have a notable guest star this episode. So
most of the guest stars are not great in this.
No, the bomber himself, when we get to him, I mean, I kind of liked his performance. It wasn't good. I enjoyed it.
He would yell like 2 words and then go back to a whisper. It's like his vocal range was just this roller coaster.
It was really reminding me of another actor, and I couldn't quite place who it was, which was really bugging me. But it was reminding me of someone.
He had a little bit of Malkovich. I saw a little Malkovich.
I saw a little Malkovich. No, you're right. I saw a little bit of Malkovich.
Okay. We're good at this game.
It was like John Malkovich, which a little bit of that guy from Expendables. Like, it wasn't one of the famous names. Couture, I think his name was. You know, not Stallone, not Statham, not the ones you know. the
not
one,
Jet Li.
The guy who was there that no one. I think maybe like he was like in UFC or something, so maybe UFC fans knew who he was, but like I didn't know who it was. So
Forrest? No. I can't remember who's in it. George St. Pierre, maybe.
No, it was like something Couture. It was like I said
okay,
that.
Never mind.
I said that like a minute ago.
I thought you were talking about like Chic. Just kidding. He's not haute couture.
Jesus, what? Anyway, so he's over the top. He's over the top, and even the way they introduce him, where there's like close-ups to like his eyes, because he's wearing glasses, so you just get the reflections of his eyeglasses, and it's they're doing the mysterious like, oh, he's about and he's planning more attacks and he's up to something, which is not to make fun of it too much, because honestly, it makes for a fun plot. Everyone trying to figure out what's going on was exciting. Some of the situations that arise because of the explosions are either entertaining or actually have some good character bits that come from them.
I didn't like the G'Kar Londo stuff.
I wasn't even necessarily talking about that. You just assumed that it was.
Yeah, I did.
I was talking more about Lanier, but you know, whatever.
The Lanier stuff I thought was good. Was probably the strongest stuff in the episode.
Because Lanier, we have a scene, just in case we forgot that we like Lanier, we have a scene at the start to make him likable, again, just to remind us, where he's sitting waiting for transport, he's waiting for Delenn to come back or something, but that's not what he says, though, because there's this really annoying guest star who's like the slightly drunk, mustache, bragging about his life, never shutting up dude.
He looks like a couple uncles I had in the 90s.
He looks like discount like Magnum PI. He's like Magnum PI, but without any of the purpose, direction, or charm. Basically, what I'm saying is he had a mustache and a brightly coloured shirt. That's effectively what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But Lanier, you know, he has a little moment where he sort of lies about having a contagious, like, deadly disease, and he's like, "I'll make pens for that later." But you're like sort of like yeah, Lanier, stick up for yourself.
Yeah.
Get rid of the idiot.
I wonder if Lanier's going to be extra religious after like his God punished him for making a fib.
Yeah, to be fair, he never connects the two incidents. He never does. He never connects the two incidents between him doing that and then what happens to him in a minute. But there's an explosion. He jumps to save Delenn first of all, but then he also jumps to save Londo, who just happens to be sort of around. He's just sort of behind her in the shot. But that leads to him getting trapped in the section of the ship where this explosion's happening. He's hit with a bunch of debris, and he ends up in the med bay in a coma for most of the episode. And immediately it does this thing with Londo, where he immediately saying to Franklin, hey, like, he saved my life, make sure you take good care of him. So it's one of those things where it's like immediately, oh, like that little slither of humanity that's in Londo is showing itself again. And
yeah,
he has had a past with Lanier. They had something.
He likes Lanier.
They had that friendship form in that episode, and so when Londo throughout the episode just chooses to come to Lanier's side and wants to just be there for him and talk to him, and he just awkwardly mumbles on about nothing. It's like, if I was in your position and you're in my position, then blah, blah, blah. But if we were both in my position, then we wouldn't be doing anything. But if we were both in your position, we'd both be lying here. He just rambles. It means nothing, but it's kind of sweet because he's just trying to talk to him. It's,
Yeah, I thought also he was kind of going through his mind of whether he would have done the same thing for Lanier or not. And maybe he has some guilt because he doesn't know if he would.
Yeah, he wishes he would, but he's trying to convince himself that he would. Yeah. Yeah. No, I that's what you're saying. Honestly, the joke about the Centauri, though, about the screwing the light bulb in, I didn't think was that funny. And And I didn't think
it was alright.
And I didn't think it was supposed to be funny when he tells this joke to Lanier, and obviously it's the thing where he doesn't respond because he's in a coma, and he's like, well, I guess you had to be there. But later on in the episode, Franklin tries to tell Delenn the joke as if he thinks it's funny, and I'm like, it's not funny. The joke is they used to have slaves. It's not funny. There's nothing funny about it. There's nothing ironic or twisty about it. I don't know. 90s humor, I guess. It wasn't working for me.
Doesn't translate.
Wasn't working for me. But it's sweet. It's sweet for Londo to be like this. But of course, when he goes to get the elevator, G'Kar's there, and maybe this is where we're going to disagree a little bit, because I thought there were some nice details here with this. First of all, this is not the first time they've had awkward interactions at the elevator. In fact, it was kind of a running thing in season 1 almost, where they'd be fighting over the pressing the elevator button or things like that. So it was kind of like almost a little ironic that they would run into each other here again.
And G'Kar ran into Veer in the elevator also. They had that scene.
G'Kar has big scenes in elevators. It's becoming his thing. And they both had scenes in this episode where Londo's trying to convince Sheridan that the Narn are behind these explosions, and G'Kar's trying to convince Garibaldi that the Centauri are behind the explosions. Yeah. Which is a fairly amusing scene, because Garibaldi...
It's very season 1.
Yeah, Garibaldi keeps trying to walk away. Do I almost think it is? I think it's meant to... They're both meant to feel very season 1-esque in those scenes. I think because when they run into each other here at this point, it's like the harsh reality of, no, we're not in season 1. Like, we're in a completely different place from the fun of them interacting in season 1.
Well, I mean, the reason I was disappointed with this storyline is that I don't really think it gives us very much, because the whole beginning of it where they see each other, Londo says I don't want to deal with this, and waits for the next one, only to be forced in the situation where he's stuck with him in there. I thought it would lead to more conversation, but it was mostly just them, they bickered a little bit, and then they just didn't talk to each other for the rest of the thing until they were about to die. To me, it just doesn't really pay off very much.
I like the main thing that it brought up, though, which I do think is interesting, is that Londo immediately is, okay, we have to work together, get out here, come on, we don't like this, but we have to do it. And G'Kar, and the direction here is probably the most poignant moment of direction in the episode, in the sense that it's doing all this sort of close-up stuff where the red light of the security lights is hitting his face, so he looks very sinister, but he's kind of smirking and he starts laughing, and it becomes this thing where he's quite happy to just both die there. And when Londo says, well, we're both going to die, and he's like, yeah, but I get to watch you die, and he's like, well, if you want me to die, just kill me then. And G'Kar yells at him, oh no, but I can't, because the penalty for that is that if I kill you, if a Narn kills a Centauri, then 500 Narn will be killed, including the loved ones of the Narn who did it. So no, that's not an option, but I can sit here and do nothing, and I get to watch you die. I actually really liked that beat. I thought that moment, and the sort of almost the delirious kind of acceptance of you know what, this isn't the perfect me helping my people, this isn't any of that, but if I get to watch Londo die, then I can die with some satisfaction. And I got a minor chuckle at the end when someone does find him and G'Kar yells out no is his reaction.
I like that too, and I don't hate the stuff that you were talking about either. I think it's totally fine what they do, and then it kind of gets a little bit ruined though when after they do open it up so they can escape, and G'Kar says no. That part was good, and then they started bickering again, season 1 bickering, and I thought, well, okay, we're past season 1, so why are we doing the season 1 G'Kar Londo bit?
I guess I see what you're saying. For me, it was just kind of a funny beat, because this is the end of the episode. The camera sort of pulls up through the top of the elevator, which is a little hole, and we can sort of see them still lying, because at this point they're kind of been asphyxiating for a little bit, so they're both lying down, they're both weak, they've not been talking for a while, and they're kind of bickering as the camera comes up and it goes to the titles. I think the point is that they're still just them. I do see what you mean though, by we didn't necessarily need the more light-hearted bickering at the very, very end. That's fair. I mean, I also kind of get what you mean by saying that you thought it was going to have a bit more to it, because part of me did think that as well. When they were stuck in the lift, I thought, oh, maybe there's going to be a really poignant moment where G'Kar does something that, in a sense, effectively leads to Londo's life being saved. And we saw how thankful he was to Lennier for saving his life. The idea that G'Kar, even in a small way, because effectively G'Kar would just be trying to save his own life. Maybe that's where it was going. Although I did like where it went with him kind of just being like, no, if I get to watch you die, then I'm good. Like, I'll sit here and I will watch you die. As long as I get to live long enough to watch you die first, even just by a few seconds, I'm good. I like that kind of delirious place that he's in, but I think it's better for all of Narn and for G'Kar that he didn't perish in this scene with Londo, and in the long run this is probably for the better. But this is back to the raw hatred of each other in this scene.
Yeah, I mean, this episode kind of feels a bit filler, but it's certainly not bad. Like, I still enjoy the episode. I just thought that this also kind of felt like filler, like the big moment between G'Kar and Londo where they're forced to like be with each other and have a conversation. I mean, it led to some good moments, but for the most part, it just felt a little disappointing. And then the ending felt a little bit too like they're already past this. Like, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say to dispute most of those feelings. Only to say that I don't think they're past it at the end. That's the only part I don't agree with, I guess, is that I don't think they're past it. I think they're just too weak to do anything but bicker like this. Like, I don't think either one of them can stand up right now. I guess maybe it would be more effective just to have them lie there silently. It'd be more poignant, I guess. But I guess maybe JMS wants to harken back to season 1 a little bit with this and give us a lighthearted moment before, because I'm pretty sure they're not going to be lighthearted season 1 Londo and G'Kar going forward. I think this is just we're too weak to do anything else. So
all right, sure.
But yeah. Are you expecting that? Are you expecting this to just be season 1 Londo and G'Kar relationship wise after this?
No, I'm not. I just was confused as to why they went there after their very first meeting since, the war ended.
I mean, it's the first meeting in person, but it's not like they've not had effect on each other since then.
No, this is just like a one-on-one scene is what I mean.
They're forced together by circumstance, and I think enough of it makes sense. I mean, admittedly, I was expecting it to have more of a focus once it happened. Of course, by this point in the episode, it kind of shifts to, we need to stop the bomber, and that kind of takes center stage. So, no, I do kind of agree. I mean, I don't want to use the word filler, because there is little things here. I'm sure the setup of a lot of this religious stuff, I'm sure the setup of various of these elements are going to be important later. And I do think this is a nice little character beat for them, but so I'm basically, I think you're being slightly harsh, but I also kind of agree with most of what you're saying.
Okay. I don't think it's a bad episode. Even episodes that are filler, because we like the characters and we like this world that they're building, they still have something to give us. Nothing in the show ever feels like a one-off.
Which is why I think on fillers are unfair. I think filler is a word, and this is not really to do with Babylon 5, this is just a general TV thing. I think filler is a word that I've come to hate when it comes to talking about TV, because so many people use it to describe standalone episodes. I don't think most people know what the word filler actually means. So I don't know. It's just a pet peeve of modern TV discussion.
Well, I didn't mean to be so harsh. I mean, I never thought of the word filler as harsh, but I don't do as many TV reviews as you do. But I do think, like, for the show Babylon 5, this one feels like we just need to put something in here that's not part of the main plot. And I'm not saying there's no consequences to any of the actions. Of course there will be. Yeah, these religious guys are going to be around. We'll probably see them again.
It's a standalone plot for the most part. That's fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But not filler.
Don't make a face at me like I'm being unreasonable. It's just I mean, it's not like this show didn't establish right in season 1 that a lot of the episodes are going to be fairly standalone, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's weird to then it has a standalone episode, therefore it's a filler episode.
I don't think any of it, like I said earlier, I don't think any of them are really considered standalone. Just relative to this show, to this series.
Sure.
This is as close to a filler as we're probably going to get.
I beg to differ. TKO exists.
I'm sure there's stuff that happened in TKO that's, you know, important to know. It established what people wear when they just hang out together, which is just their 90s best.
I mean, the answer is Ivanova dealing with her father's death and finally moving on, I guess, is vaguely important for that character. But, well, I mean, it's not vaguely important. It is important to the character. It was just so average at best that it's not that memorable that, you know.
Is that the one with the rabbi?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That was the two plots in that episode. It was the rabbi with Ivanova, and it was the martial arts thing.
Yeah, I mean, with all this religious symbolism that's now on Babylon 5, and all these religious sects of different aliens are coming over to like live there now and congregate just in case, you know, their deity will show up again. I guess it all connects. Maybe the rabbi will come back.
Why are you trying to defend that episode? Of all the things to be doing on this review, on any review of Babylon 5, really.
Trying to justify TKO.
If there's one subject I felt like it would never come up, is the in defense of TKO.
I think we had some commenters that were like, well, I like TKO.
I don't know. You may have made this up. I don't know if I remember that.
Well, hopefully there'll be some on this one.
Yes, TKO defenders, you know who you are. You may comment.
Make yourself known.
To that effect, if you wish.
Be heard on this channel.
Which I think is objectively the worst episode of this show so far, and I expect to be still objectively the worst episode by the time we're done.
We shall see. I mean, there have been some duds.
Nothing is close to TKO.
What about that? What was that one with that guy who... God, he was such a bad actor. Oh, it was on... Was it Babylon Squared? That was a good episode.
Babylon Squared was a good episode.
No, it's the guy who was on Babylon 4 and like left because... and then it just disappeared.
Why don't you just say the Holy Grail episode? Why are you going around?
Is that that's the Grail episode? Yeah, that's it then.
Your memory is...
I know. It's not good.
Because there is a good guest star on that episode as well.
Yeah.
Right? It's which is why I think is important to distinct. But yes, it's the Holy Grail episode, yes.
Don't let it end this way.
Oh my god. It's yes, this episode is not a 9 out of 10, okay? Right? But it's not that either.
Agreed.
And yet somehow we're talking about TKO and Holy Grail for some reason.
What else happened in this episode?
Well, they got the bomber, didn't they? They had to they matched the things. Eventually they
got a
figured
dead man switch. I mean, we watched Speed not that long ago.
Yeah, they figured
Speed.
They figured out who it was based on who had arrived and history and the fact that a previous location had similar bombings, and there's like, okay, all right, they put two and two together, and Sheridan has to go in. He has to shove his communicator up his ass. I'm not making that up, by the way. He's going to stick it like down his like inside of his shirt, and Garibaldi's like, he's going to check that. He'll know it's there. He's like, what do you suggest? And he gives him this look, and he's like, and he sort of like puts his hand down his back, and I'm like, oh, he's actually just shoving it up his ass.
It's like he's smuggling a watch out of prison.
All right. Pulp Fiction. Yes, we get the reference.
Okay, I'm done.
I love how you like snorted at the end of that laugh.
It comes out every now and
then. Just to complete the goofiness of you loving the fact that you made that reference. I love it. Just completes the whole thing.
Twice. I made it twice. You didn't acknowledge it the first time, so I had to say it again.
I did hear it. I tried to force on through.
Well, okay. Whatever.
I tried to force on through Brown 7, but there was something up the ass that just wouldn't let me pass.
Oh boy.
I've got a feeling that this is not one of our better reviews of Babylon 5, just based on some of the directions that the conversation has
maybe you should edit some of this.
Has went, and I'm not going to do that.
Okay. Well, I was also I did think it was funny when Sheridan actually walks in and the guy's like, "Open your shirt, let me see," and he like barely like undoes like a couple of buttons and says satisfied. Why would that be enough?
Because Sheridan's assuming it's a power play. Sheridan does a few buttons and he kind of shrugs and goes, "Are you satisfied?" And I think he's playing him. Like he's expecting this guy to be an amateur. They know the explosives aren't that good, which is actually the clue that leads Garibaldi to find out where the next one is, because when he claims it's going to rip the ship in half, he's like, well, none of his explosives are that good unless he's like found a way to like rig an explosive to a reactor, right? The actual systems of the ship. So sure enough, because he's been working there as an engineer, he's had access. So by the time the guy presses the switch or releases the dead man switch, the explosive's been taken. Shang Tsung's been in his astronaut suit and he's gotten it away and kicked it away from the station, so it doesn't hurt anyone. But there's a lot of overdramatic, scene chewing from this guest star. He's like, he wants an audience. It's not fair. He wants to have Sheridan to get him to a ship so he can leave harm-free. We never really get much of a motive beyond just, my wife left me and, I couldn't afford my apartment, so it's my turn to make people afraid.
I think he's sort of trying to be like a Joker by just cause chaos for chaos sake.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's how he was written. I don't know. We
never mentioned actually that yes, before the first explosion, there was a call to CIC, saying there'd be chaos in a few hours, and then again, in 2 hours and 1 hour, and then explosion happened, and they just kind of shrugged it off as a prank for the most part. But
yeah,
sure enough, chaos reigned.
Yeah, it's not connected to any of the main plot. He's not there trying to cause chaos because the Bureau 13 wants him to cause chaos and fear.
They theorize, when the explosion first happens, they start to suspect, is this Mars, the Mars faction, is this Earth First, is this any of the groups that we know about? And they kind of there's no evidence to suggest that it is. It's kind of weird. It's actually kind of weird that Garibaldi points out that they're not really targeting any systems or places that are important. They've got a lot of people in them. There's a lot of traffic, but there's not actually any important areas that are being targeted, which suggests that it is just for chaos sake, that it is just for mass casualty sake.
Right. Garibaldi doesn't even think it is a bomb at first, because he said bombs always come with a statement, and this one, the placement of the bomb wouldn't make any sense. There's no statement being made. And
the statement is very thin. Once he actually explains his motives, like I said, that's probably the weakest thing about this episode, is that the villain behind it is he's kind of funny to watch because he's so scene chewing and kind of cheesy, but
he's kind of bad.
But he's not it doesn't really paint an interesting reason behind any of it or anything. It's just he's just a villain that we need to have for the episode. So that element's a bit weak. I think that's fair to say. But I mean, who knows? Maybe this will somehow will be a reason the way he was sent here or something. Maybe there'll be a small connection or something. But maybe we'll get a flashback later on where someone from Bureau 13 was I hear Babylon 5 would make a good target, and that'll be it. That'll be the whole thing.
Bester's behind it all. Maybe they just wanted that one elevator that always causes trouble to be eliminated.
Maybe. I mean,
Jakar's favorite elevator was targeted.
I did enjoy seeing some of the sets kind of half destroyed and stuff. I thought there was just kind of fun seeing them in a different context for a change.
It is interesting that Londo was basically a target for 2 of the bombs.
It seemed just to be coincidence though, just from the setup, but yeah. He's just unlucky, I guess. Maybe this is karma coming after him for everything he's been involved in, for everything he's done.
Maybe all the villains of the week are going to target Londo.
Yes. But yeah, like I say though, I think his stuff with Lanier was the sweetest part of the episode, and I do think some of the moments with G'Kar are quite good, even if it doesn't feel as like impactful or as, and I think the reason for that may just be that it's too early for for any big progression with them as a pair. So this is just to sort of reestablish where they are with each other right now, so that later in the season, presumably, we're going to get more big moments with them, and we'll have that. But I did think it did a nice job of giving us a nice sweet moment with Lanier on his own first before he get injured, so that we cared about him again. It refreshed that.
I was scared for him actually, because when you see him like get hurt, he's behind like a glass panel, a door, and you see him fall with stuff falling, and then like it immediately gets followed up with a fireball, and you're like, oh my god, they just kill him.
Yeah, because the voice in the ship even says like, oh, the explosion, we're compartmentalizing this section for
because for pressure's sake, I thought maybe like it would be exposed to the vacuum of space even.
Yeah, maybe it's just a risk of that. Like maybe like if there's just a protocol that if there's a chance that it might happen, then
makes sense.
Yeah,
but it wasn't until like Delenn walked over and saw him on the ground that I knew that he was still even in that compartment.
Yeah. And yeah, there's little details here I like Delenn goes away at one point, and it's because the families of Minbari who died in the first two explosions are either on station or there for the call to talk to her, because she's the representative, because she's the highest ranking Minbari present. I like those little details, So this is not much to it, but it's just this nice little touch. Yeah, it's an okay episode. Like it's definitely, for the standard that this show has like sort of been hitting recently, it is kind of a weaker one, but I wouldn't say it's bad though. I think the actual explosion plot is kind of fun. Them trying to figure it out is fun. Some of the character stuff I enjoy, but yeah, it's definitely a step down from the big overall plot stuff it's been really firing all cylinders now for kind of a while at this point. To be honest, like most of season 2 was kind of in that range.
I would agree.
So, but hey, maybe you need an episode or two like this at the start of the season just to kind of give us our footing before things really start hitting the fan again.
Sure. Yeah. You gotta know what's mediocre in order to appreciate the truly great episodes.
I don't think they set out to make a mediocre episode. That's been a little facetious. I just mean like give them a typical like TV episode, and by that I mean, okay, so we've got a bomber and he's just kind of a villain of the week, but the idea being is like, here's how they handle a situation, and it is kind of a fun situation because it is a bit more like, oh, the entire station's at jeopardy, which a lot of the villains of the week are the more standalone stories we had. You can remember back in season 1 when like Franklin's old professor had like the artifact that made a monster man, like like that stuff was like, okay, yeah, it could become a danger at the whole station, but it didn't really feel like the whole station was on alert. Whereas here it felt like we heard a lot of conversation in this episode of like, oh, people are scared to leave their quarters now because these explosions could happen at any time in any place, and it did kind of create a vibe of danger on the ship or on the station. So I appreciate that mood that it came with, if nothing else. So yeah,
winner.
Not a big winner either. Sure. Tara's searching. She's typing things. This is terrible radio, so I'm trying to fill space while she finds what she's looking for, because I'm ready to go to the outro. What is it?
Oh, nothing. I was just looking up something.
What? I did all that and it was for nothing? You weren't even doing something that was for... Oh.
I'm wondering when like the Oklahoma City bombings and stuff were. Like if it was bombings and like people being afraid to go out were around this time.
Well, this is 1995, so
trying to see.
There's only so much time I can fill with ramblings. Will she look? This is why I banned you. This is why I banned you from 9DB while we do reviews, because you just kill the pacing as we sit and wait for you to type something.
That's what editing is for. That's your own fault. Okay, it was April 19th, 1995 that happened. So maybe a bit too close to this to say that it was inspired.
Well, I don't know. Season 2 would have still been airing at that point, depending on when the episodes aired.
Oh, well, maybe then.
This would have been later in '95, so it might have been actually somewhat inspired by that. I'm sure some comments will mention it if so, but yes. Okay, there you go. That's basically the episode. Fun one. We'll see what episode 3 brings.
It was fine.
Okay, well there you go. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. You can help out the channel and the reviews by hitting the like button, subscribing, dinging the bell for notifications, and of course letting us know what you think of the episode in the comments. Tara, why don't you tell them all about Patreon?
Yeah, if you enjoyed the reviews, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildfuzzTV. And if you donate as little as $1 per month, you will get access to bonus episodes of other shows we do. And if you donate $5 per month, you'll get access to these reviews 1 week early.
Very good. Yep. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Babylon 5. Just don't give away the home world.